It is 12 o'clock on a Thursday. It is October 8th. It is me, Hayden Greene, and I am here. It is the greenhouse effect. I'm the guy that you turn to on Thursdays to talk about all the craziness, and I'm smiling because this has been a crazy week. Like I said, it is October 8th. Um, I literally could do 2 hours of this, right? Because this has been bananas. This has been everything that you could not have expected in the middle of an election period to happen is happening all at once, all here. So, welcome to the Greenhouse Effect. I am your host, Hayden Greene, or the Green Lantern today. So, I will be talking about Gee, is there anything else to talk about? The coronavirus has come to the White House, and not just the person sitting in the Oval Office, like the whole White House. Like there are staffers who, and I'm gonna get all to this, but they just released that there are staffers who are afraid to come back to work because they're afraid that the president is going to make them, come to work and do all of these different things. And they're like, you should be quarantined, right? Like you could do this remotely. This is the White House. You can do this from your room. You can do this from the other places in the White House. You don't have to come to the West Wing. But he wants to go to the West Wing. I was like, you know what? If I got it, everybody got to get it, right? So so that we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about the debate last night. And to be frank with you, I apologize ahead of time. I'm not going to talk very much about the actual things that people said. I'm going to spend the majority of time with the fly that landed on Mike Pence's head. That's far more entertaining. And when it happened is kind of telling as to the ancestors knocking on the door talking about you might want to pay attention to this right here. Um, After that, we're going to talk a little bit about Lovecraft Country. For those of you who are not watching Lovecraft Country, you are missing out on one of the most seminal, important shows on TV right now. I know a lot of people are like, I can't pay for HBO. Listen, you need to find a friend and borrow their login because you are missing out if you are not watching Lovecraft Country. For those of you who are people of color, especially black people, this is an amazing telling of a storyline that doesn't get a lot of publicity and yes, the ancestors sent that fly. And then it is also if you are not a person of color, if you identify as white or identify as something that is not black, these are stories that we've been saying as black folk are part of our psyche, are part of what we go through. And a lot of people have never believed it, but more importantly, it's the visualization of all of these stories and being able to see it on the screen. That makes it really vibrant and it gives you a real understanding of why these things impact us so much. Um, and if we have the time, we will get around to the protests that are happening in Brooklyn, and they're not the protests that we've been accustomed to over the last 5 months. They are protests for something different, and we'll talk about that if we can. Um, so looks like Felicia's my only person here today. So what's up, Felicia? I'm glad you're here hanging out with me. I'm gonna just talk to Felicia since Felicia's the only person here. But we are we're in the midst of our election period, and after the debate and after the Greenhouse show last week, he timed this perfectly because he didn't want me talking about him last week during the show because we talked about him for the entire show. But after the last show, the Cheeto in charge said announced that he was he had come down with the coronavirus, right? And the tweet came out at like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And so I will never, and so this is again one of those things where it's a new age. It's a different way that we are interacting with the world. But I will never get accustomed to getting information from, not about, from the president of the United States via tweet. That's never going to be okay for me, right? For somebody who constantly talks about security and he wants to get rid of TikTok and all of these different ways that he is uber concerned. And like Hillary Clinton got taken down because of her emails. But here we have the most high-ranking elected official in the country, and we get our information from him, not through official channels, but through Twitter. And I will never get accustomed to that. That is not the way that I want to find out what my president is thinking about. First of all, that's y'all president, and I'm probably one of the few people who can say that's y'all president. And for those of you who don't know why, go check the other shows earlier on. But it's like, why is that okay? Why hasn't some national security person been like, Mr. President, we're gonna have to secure your phone, and because you're putting out information that you can't put out on Twitter. So give me your phone. By the way, that's the way I think that all national security officers speak. I just think that they have that, give me that stuff. Anyway, so I'll never get accustomed to that. I just don't, right? And you're right, Felicia, that, he is a narcissist, and he wants people to know what he's thinking at all times. And he thinks that people want to know what he's thinking at all times. And I have news for him. We don't. Anyway, so on Thursday night, he sends out this tweet, and Friday morning we wake up to hear that he has coronavirus. I am going to go on record right now and tell you that I am a bad parent. Why am I telling you this? Because I said this. My wife was in the bathroom, and my wife was taking care of the kid as I was getting ready to go to work. And I said to her, he has coronavirus. Trump has coronavirus. And she went, oh. My youngest daughter overheard me telling my wife this and started clapping and dancing in the hallway. I can neither confirm nor deny that I am raising an anti-Trumper in my house. I can neither confirm nor deny that she is getting any of that information from us. But this little girl was quite happy that he had contracted coronavirus. And so I had to do the right thing as a parent and pull her to the side and say, hey, listen, we never celebrate when somebody has misfortune. We never celebrate that somebody has gotten sick. We definitely do not wish physical ill on somebody. And so I said all these things, and this is why I'm a bad parent. This next statement that I'm going to tell you is the reason I'm a bad parent is because I lied to my child. I was jumping up and down when he got it. I hope that he got so sick that he had to be convalescent for the weeks that certain people are sitting in hospitals right now. There's a man that just got released after being in the hospital for 100 days in Brooklyn from contracting the coronavirus. I was hoping that he was going to have that kind of interaction with the disease. I was hoping that he was going to get deathly sick. I never hoped that he died, but I was hoping that he was going to get to the brink. And so I lied to my child when I told him that we don't wish these things on people. And for that, I was a bad parent. I should not lie to my children. Right? So anyway, so my kid starts jumping up and down. And so immediately we start having a conversation, and by we, I mean some of my fraternity brothers, some of the people on Facebook. Um, Immediately, people start having the conversation about whether or not he actually has it, whether or not he's lying, whether or not this is actually true. And so, I personally, and I'm just going to go ahead and state, I believe that he had it and still has it, right? And but I immediately began to feel like this is horrible. What's horrible? The president of the United States just announced that he has a life threatening disease. He has a life threatening virus infection. And nobody knows whether or not he's telling the truth. Whether you believe that he has it or you believe that he's lying, nobody knows for sure. And this is the country that we live in now, where we can't trust anything that's coming out of the White House. That, my friends, is a horrible way to interact with your government. When you have no idea whether they're telling you the truth or they're pulling one over your eyes, we're living in Animal Farm. George Orwell was a prophet. We're living in Animal Farm. The pigs are changing the rules every night and whitewashing the ones that don't apply to them. We are living in Animal Farm where we don't know whether or not this man is telling us the truth. And this is something that he should never lie about, right? Like getting the coronavirus is something that one person you don't expect that they're going to lie about. But we don't put it past him. We all think that it is entirely possible that he's lying to us. And that's horrible. Horrible. How are we living in a country where we can't tell whether or not the president of the United States is telling us the truth about something as dire as his health? Right? Now, I get it. Everybody's going to go back and it's like, well, presidents have lied about their health for generations. People didn't know that FDR had polio for like entire generations didn't know that FDR had polio because they only shot him sitting behind a desk or sitting at the hearth, the fireside chats, which he became famous for. And people didn't know he had polio. People didn't know he couldn't walk, right? And so, I get it. People lie about presidents lie about their health, but presidents don't use their health for political gains, right? And so, well, generally, right? And so we're in this place where we don't know whether this is a whole political thing. And that's really horrible. Anyway, for those, and so we have to talk about the fact that, are we, is he really, has he really contracted the disease? Is he actually telling the truth? And because here's the thing, I don't know how this benefits his campaign if he is lying. I don't know how that benefits your campaign. And so when it first started, it was like, oh, he's going to come out and say look how he beat the virus and he's he is a champion and a warrior. And so said, so done. I don't see how that helps his campaign. He's been running a campaign that this virus is not real, right? That it'll go away. And regardless of whether or not he survived, right? It still killed 210,000 people in this country. So him surviving doesn't prove anything. It proves the exact opposite, that you can survive this virus if you get medevaced to a hospital, one of the top hospitals in the world. If you get, and they put the numbers up a couple of days ago or yesterday, if you get the best treatment in the world, the best hospital treatment in the world, which totals $200,000. The couple of days that he stayed in Walter Reed cost the taxpayers $200,000. And if you get experimental drugs that actually are only given to people who are in dire straits with this virus, if you get all of that stuff, you can absolutely beat this stuff. But God forbid you are a bus boy in a restaurant in Sunset Park in Brooklyn and you get this disease. Good luck, right? God forbid you are a teacher from the Upper West Side who gets this disease from one of their students. Good luck, right? God forbid if you are an essential worker, somebody who is in charge of cleaning the hospitals, or somebody who is in charge of maintenance of an airport, and you get this disease. Good luck. Nobody, those people don't have $200,000 sitting in their back pocket to get the best medication, even if it's available to them. They don't, right? And so, again, I don't see how this, if he is lying, that this is a good strategy. I'm not saying that they didn't think that this was a good strategy. I'm just saying that they're not right in terms of it being a good strategy. And it's playing out. He's tanking in the polls. Although I don't believe any of that stuff, right? Because Hillary Clinton was way ahead in the polls in 2016. So I'm not even going by polls, but he's tanking. And those numbers mean a lot to him, right? So if this was a strategy, it was bad. It was a bad strategy, right? The other piece that I hang my hat on and say that this is actually not a hoax. His getting it is not a hoax. Is that everybody who went to this Rose Garden, event, which is now a super spreader event, is sick. Like one by one, they keep on dropping. Kellyanne Conway, Melania, all of these people just like boom, boom, boom. Staffers, and reporters, everybody. There are reporters who are like, I don't want to go to the White House. He's going to tell us the same thing over and over again, and we don't believe anything that he says, and I'm not risking my life to go to the White House. When did becoming a reporter at the White House become a life-threatening job? We're not talking about going to Afghanistan. We're not talking about going to Iraq. Those are life-threatening, news reports. But going to the White House now is life-threatening? What a world. What a country. This is crazy. And I think I'm talking to myself because either Felicia has left me or everybody is. Oh wait, I'm not seeing the comments. Oh, I just scrolled up. Sorry, people. I don't believe it at all. 213,000 people now. Felicia says, who was a little black boy sitting in the front row? That is the Supreme Court Justice's adopted son, the candidate. That's her adopted son. So there was a so you're trying to tell me that this is all a hoax, right? That Trump doesn't actually have it, but everybody who went to that ceremony and everybody around him has it, right? So is all of that a hoax, right? No, I personally think that it is, that he has it, and it has spread to the vast majority of the White House. The Rose Garden event was a super spreader event. We have been talking about the fact that he has been having campaign rallies that are also super spreader events. We will never find out the numbers for them because they're going to squash those. Even in debate, when he talked about nobody died from coming to one of his events, and last week I said, I guess Herman Cain is a nobody because he died from coming to one of your events. It's indisputable that that's where Herman Cain got the virus. Indisputable. He was tweeting about it before he went to the event, talking about, I'm going to his event and I'm not wearing a mask because we will not be beholden to the liberals and their mask wearing mumbo jumbo. Q 1 week later, yo, my bad, son. We all got the virus, and hopes and prayers. Nah, son, you walk down that road. That's you gotta take that. You gotta take that. And again, so like I don't wish ill on people, but like when you bring things on yourself, that's on you, right? My mom says, let him continue to cry wolf. That black fly will poop on his head. I'm gonna get to the fly. I'm gonna get to the fly. I promise you all, I will get to the fly. All right. Um, so anyway, so this fool goes into Walter Reed. He tweets out the next day that that he's feeling much better. He sends out a picture, or he has a press conference that he's feeling much better. And it sounds like he has labored breathing. Then he tweets out a couple of pictures of him working at a desk, like they have an office for the president at Walter Reed. And for those of you who don't know anything about Walter Reed is a military hospital that is set up that has a whole wing for the president if he falls ill. Right, so there are medical facilities inside of the White House that can take care, they can do surgery inside of the White House. But and that's for emergencies. But if they need to move him to an actual medical facility, that's Walter Reed, and it's secure. There's a desk, there's an office. He can still operate the country from Walter Reed. So he sits in this. This office, and he's sitting at the desk, and he's writing. First of all, they zoomed in, and he was using a Sharpie to write on a blank piece of paper. Again, photo op, right? So he sits in this desk, and he's taking these pictures, and immediately the rest of the country is like, dude, we don't need to see this. We don't care. In fact, why are you putting people in jeopardy by making a photographer come to Walter Reed to take a picture of you sitting at a desk? Everybody knows you don't work at night. Everybody knows that. You said it, right? So all of this was a grand show, and I don't know who it's for. And I'll say this again. I said this, a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it now, especially that we are 3 weeks out from the election. There are no undecided voters. There's nobody who was like, I don't know about this Trump guy, and then sees that picture and go, oh, that guy's dope. I'm gonna vote for him. That didn't happen. There's nobody who's doing that. That's not happening. So I don't know who this I don't know who this posturing is for, right? And especially the motorcade. He sneaks out, right? He sneaks out and goes on a motorcade to wave to people who are outside supporting him, rallying him with Trump flags and stuff like that. And that's great. If that's your candidate, more power to you, But now you've got Secret Service agents who now have to ride around in a hermetically sealed car with you and risk their lives. This is the actions of a caring leader. They should have got one of those Pope mobiles. You remember the Pope mobiles where he sits in a bubble in the back and nobody else can interact? Get one of those. Sit him in the back, right? He sat in a car with 2 other people and risk infecting 2 of the Secret Service agents, the driver and the person who was in the front, who's his body man. In fact, his original body man is already in the hospital not in the hospital, but contracted corona as well, and he's quarantined. So you had to get a new body man. And I bet you I bet you a significant amount of money that the person who was in that car is probably tested for coronavirus as well. They had on all the PPEs that they could possibly have, but I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't to make people feel better. It was for him, period. Yeah, no, Vinny, you're absolutely right. This is the narcissist in him. He needed to show himself that he could do this, that he was virile, and he could beat this disease. So he goes home afterwards. He has this motorcade. Now, I'll tell you this right now. I know people who have had this disease, right? And I know people who has said that it is a completely humbling disease. Like, was it The Rock had it? Or some like a major body, very, very fit person had it and was like, this is nothing to be played with. You want me to believe that guy, the overweight guy, the guy that eats hamburgers as a regular dietary regimen, you want me to believe that guy is recovered and is out of the hospital within a couple of days? First, so number one, whatever that drug is, they need to be giving it to everybody. If that's the case, they need to be giving it to everybody. All right, and so I don't believe in it. Right, so that's number one. Number two, he gets back to the White House and he ascends the stairs in this grand gesture, and he gets to the top and he rips off his mask because you didn't just get the damn virus, and so now you're gonna spread it out to more people. Got it. Rips off the damn virus and stands there, and he looks like he is dying. Look at the video. Look at the video. So, and I'll tell you why I know how he's dying. How I know he's dying. We have a child that has asthma, right? And when she has asthma attacks, the doctor has showed us to know what the signs are before it gets, you're getting an asthma attack, before it gets to the point where you have to go to the hospital or something like that, right? Like, look at your child. If you see these things, give them an inhaler, right? So we know the signs, and the signs are that he has that you have labored breathing. When you breathe, your body doesn't look like it's breathing, right? That's labored breathing is like after you've run or you've done some exercise or stuff like that, or maybe walk upstairs. But walking upstairs wouldn't get you to where he was. So you have labored breathing. The second piece is, and Judy's a doctor, so she can chime in on this. The people who thought he would come out of the hospital were humbled. Bless your optimistic little hearts. So when you have labored breathing, if you look right here, you see right in here, those are muscles that you use to open up your esophagus, right? And when you are having trouble opening up your esophagus, or opening up or breathing healthily, right? Those muscles, you start to see strain. So you can see them right here, right in here. Go look at that video. That triangle right in where when he rips off his mask, he's dying. He's gasping for air, and he's trying to like put on a good face, but he fails. Right? He fails because anybody who has ever seen anybody have asthma knows that he's having trouble breathing in that moment. And so it's clear that he's not out of the woods. Right? And he's still not out of the woods. We haven't seen him. We haven't actually seen him. We haven't actually physically seen him in a couple of days. Why? Because they told him to sit his butt down. Because he probably can't breathe. He's probably on oxygen right now. Vinny says, asthma is no joke, labored breathing and muscles in the neck compensating for breathing. Right, exactly. Right? So I don't think that he is faking. I think that he is trying to put on a good face so that people think that he is strong. And then he put out this whole thing about, I don't know if he put it out or if his supporters put it out, but it's like, look at our president. He is battling against the disease, and he's winning against coronavirus, and Joe Biden never did that. Oh, okay, great. Now the knock on Joe Biden is that he did not beat coronavirus himself. This is an upside down world, upside down, completely upside down. The other thing that I'm wondering about is like, whatever happened to hydrochloroquine? What? Wait, what? Now you actually have the disease, and there is no sign of hydrochloroquine anywhere? You weren't administered it. You're not talking about it anymore. At one point in time, you were talking about you were taking it every single day to avoid, to rid yourself of it. And now it's gone? Nobody's even talking about it anymore? Remember that doctor that said, like, oh, we treated all these people with hydrochloroquine, and Trump retweeted her and said, like, oh, she's spitting bars, right? That woman's gone. Why wasn't she part of the medical team? Right? He loved her, right? Why wasn't that woman part of the medical team? And I was like, I need people to just like, not just people, but you know who I'm talking about in terms of like people. I just need people to look at all of the evidence, or not just the pieces of evidence that make, no confirmation bias, right? Don't use evidence to confirm what it is that you think that you already know. Look at all of it, right? If hydrochloroquine was such a wonder drug, and this woman that he, that he was purporting as the savior and has all of the answers, why wasn't she part of his medical treatment team? How come they didn't administer this drug that he had stock in to him when he got sick, right? Can't beat it if you never get it, right? You can't trust anything coming from the president, says Leon, or from the White House. Propaganda is at its finest. Yeah, Leon, I don't know if you were here. Like, this is all Animal Farm. This is the first thing. The pigs are erasing the lines and writing new rules every single day. He's planning a rally and refuses to do the virtual debate. Yep, I'm gonna get to that, Mom. Yeah, he absolutely. So, the audacity of it all. Vinny, for real, I question the judgment of a family that claimed they would save anyone from COVID if they. Yep, absolutely. You can always tell when Trump is lying because you see his lips move. Absolutely. So one of the things that people are saying is that. Because he got it, it might be a ploy for him to not do the debate. But if that's the case, he's blown that completely up because he said he wants to go ahead and do the debate. And the debate people are like, no. No. We don't want you anywhere near this building. We don't want you in the building. We don't want you near the building. We almost don't want your stream to be coming into the building because that might have a virus too. No, and oh, by the way, no. And so they have proposed to do the next debate as a virtual event. And so Trump is now saying, I will not do a virtual event. Biden is like, I'll take you on wherever you want to be, right? And so now we have the situation where there may not be a second debate because he won't agree to the terms. He won't stay away. He won't do anything virtual. And again, it's what a time to live in, right? What a time. What a time. What a time. All right. So let's see. I wish I was wicked and with wicked wand and wave on, and I'll leave that there. My mom is low key gangster. And by low key, I mean straight up. Oh, by the way, Mom, I'm going to try to make fish cakes tonight. Pray for me. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. All right. Anyway, so speaking of debate, we had a debate last night. Vice President Pence, or as everybody knows him to be, Johnny Quest's dad, and Kamala Harris, as squared off against each other, and it was so. I'm gonna go ahead and first and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was not the fireworks that everybody thought it was going to be. People thought that Kamala was going to like take him to the woodshed the way that she did for the Supreme Court nominee. I knew that wasn't going to happen. Number one, going into this debate, one of the things that people were saying was that he had that Kamala's only job was to it's kind of, if you to use a football reference, she was supposed to be a maintenance quarterback, right? So like, don't lose the game, make the points, stay the course, make sure that that everybody sees us in the way that we've already created, the image that we've already created, and don't lose us any votes, right? Now, people are like, well, what kind of attitude is that? How can she lose us votes? So, black women are always up against the specter of, every time that they say something forcefully, that they come across as the angry black women, right? Or disrespectful. And even with the way that she was in the debate, which was completely within all reasonable realms, that still got leveled at her, right? That she was disrespectful or like aggressive, and so black women can't say nothing, right? Without grabbing this title and having that on their shoulder. So they constantly have to navigate this road of being able to say their point, which are, say their valid points, their valid point of view, without being labeled as being aggressive, especially if they're talking to a white person, a white man in particular. So sexism and racism compounded together, and if we're talking about ageism as well, it's like completely out of the box. So the campaign strategy was to not give anybody any fuel for it, right? Nobody was trying to. People were trying not to have this be, like, well, I'm all right with, Joe's okay. But look at that crazy woman that he's got with her. They were trying to not have that narrative be put forward, right? And so, yeah, like I said, even with the even-keeled way that Kamala was, this fool still called her a monster today. A monster. Because, we're in a place where politics have completely jumped the shark. Lawyers know how to let people talk, and eventually those people will hang themselves, which he did. But the debate was not the fireworks that we thought that a lot of people thought it was. She wasn't going to try to make Pence cry like she made Kavanaugh cry, and Pence doesn't cry because his eye ducts have been removed along with his soul. So there was no way that she was going to make him cry. And you could see from last night that the surgery to remove his eye ducts resulted in a little bit of a little schmutz and a little in his eye over there. I was like, I don't know what's going on with Pence's eye. But anyway, we knew that going into this, that wasn't going to be what was going to happen. Like, it wasn't going to be fireworks. I was happy that it wasn't as tumultuous as the presidential debate. That was a Travis mockery. But last night, even with that, the most uttered phrase throughout the night was, "Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President." So for those of you who are not familiar to debates, real debates, not the one that we had last week, those of you not familiar with debates, this is how people got frustrated with the fact that nobody answered the question that they were asked. And that is a debate tactic from olden days, right? You don't answer the question that you were asked. You answer the question that you were asked with the answer that you had prepared. No matter what question you were asked, here's the thing that you're going to say, and it has been vetted. It has been, and all you have to do is find a way to shoehorn that answer into the question that was asked previous to it, right? If you watch Zootopia has a scene where Judy Hopps has to go up and talk about why all of the animals, all of the predators are going savage. And Nick Wilde says, don't answer the question that you were asked, answer the question with a question, then answer the question that you posed so that you can control the narrative. Yes, I just quoted Zootopia. If you have not watched that movie, go watch it. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. You think I'm joking? Go watch Zootopia. It's brilliant. Anyway, back to the debate. So everybody needs to get over the fact that nobody answered the questions. Pence absolutely never answered the question that he was answered. In fact, after he was stopped from talking about a question that preceded it, when he was asked to answer the next question, he went back to the question that he didn't get to fully answer and talks about that. And then he tried to answer the question that he was actually asked and went over time and would not stop talking, which resulted in more, "Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President." So Judy says, so Felicia says that Pence's main character in A Handmaid's Tale. Yo, my wife has already said that this is the prequel to The Handmaid's Tale. If you haven't read that book, or seen the show, you should be very afraid. And I don't, yeah, I guess it's a cautionary tale. So like, we should stop doing the things that they said would lead to the to Galahad. Is that the name of the place? All right. So anyway, watch out for Handmaid's Tale. Judy says because racism, sexism, and narrative, they have that narrative prefabricated before the debate. Yeah, yeah. So Judy's talking about what I just talked about. So I when you go into these debates, don't expect there's going to be like you're going to ask a question and somebody's going to flub up. It's like, oh my god, that's a question I didn't think about. Let me come off the top of my head. No, both of them have prefab answers to all of these questions, regardless of what the person asks. There are only a couple of things that the moderators and the American public want to hear people talk about, and they have gone through all of the answers, no matter what the question is, and so that's what you're going to get. And so I didn't expect to hear any kind of like, daggers, or like I didn't expect to have like super sound bites at the end of the day, except for the meme of I'm talking. Like she was talking to her though. I'm talking. Listen, I say that to my kids all the time because they don't ever respect the fact that we are having a conversation. So anyway, so that was great. But the highlight, the show the highlight and the showstopper last night was my boy Flyroy Johnson. Yes, they have named the fly. A fly landed um, on Pence's head, and it took away every point of focus that anybody had for the rest of the night. That was it. Like it was. Oh my God! I'm still speaking. Yes, I'm sorry. Um, that was the best. So a fly lands on Pence's head. He doesn't realize that it's there, so he doesn't shoo it away. First of all, he's a zombie, so he wouldn't shoo it away to begin with. He's accustomed to having flies around him. So the second thing is that the fly sits there for like a minute. So he's talking, and there's this fly just sitting there. Build it, Fly Sean. It's like Fly Sean. Yes, like there's all kind of names: Fly Roy, Fly Sean, Fly Tavius. I've seen all of them. All of them. It is hilarious, right? So immediately, and this is I swear to God, this country has some of the most creative people in all of the world, and I am proud to be part of a generation that thinks this quickly on the fly. Within minutes, there was a Twitter account for Mike Pence's fly. And this, you have to go to the Mike Pence's fly Twitter account. It is hilarious. Hilarious. It's already fully populated. There are like tweets all up and down. And like, I don't understand. Like somebody had to have been sitting there going, what am I going to do with all this content? How am I going to package all of these messages that I need to talk about? Because it's a gay rights site, right? So how am I going to package all of these messages that people need to... Is that a fly on Mike Pence's head? Listen. When I tell you you need to go to this Twitter account, don't do nothing else today after this is done except go there and... Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the greatest Twitter account. And like, it's what, all of 12 hours since it already has 10,000 followers. When I signed on, it already had 10,000. By the time the end of the broadcast, it'll probably have 20,000, right? Not because I have 10,000 followers myself, but you get my point, right? So anyway, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So immediately the memes start coming out. The meme for what you call it, Ruth Bader Ginsburg saying that she sent the fly, that was hilarious. There are memes of the fly with a microphone next to it talking about you now have 2 minutes. There's memes of his his fly relative sitting by the TV talking about, yo, Fly Sean's on TV. Come see Fly Sean. Oh my God. It said 46,000 followers. Jesus Christ. Right? So like this is a great world. There's so many crazy things happening in this world, and then there's Mike Pence Fly Twitter account. You, come on, right? The like there's so many. What's the other one that I saw? That the ancestors knew that he was talking shit, so they sent a fly to remind people or to draw attention to it. I posted that Mike Pence is talking so much shit that a fly landed on his head. Like it was too good, too good. And here's the problem: in the first debate, the American public didn't deserve that, right? Because they should have at least had the opportunity to hear what the issues were and to have and to have people show themselves to be presidential in that moment. In the vice president debate, we didn't deserve the fly either because we are not worthy. That was too good, too good. We didn't deserve that. I don't know what we did. Somebody must have like helped an old lady across the road somewhere, and that tipped the scales that we had that rich of content from the debate. That was too good. It could not plan it. Could not plan it. And by the way, it landed on his head when he was talking about the Breonna Taylor case. Right? Ancestor was like, nope, you lying. And you want to know how I know you lying? Let me send this here fly. Right? You can't plan that. You can't plan that. The internet wins again. So that was the debate yesterday. I don't think, talking from an actual statistical point, I don't think that it moved the needle much on either side of the debate when it comes to actual content. But the numbers show that it moved the numbers, and I have to believe that it was because of the fly. Most famous fly in history. Most famous fly. I want you to name me a more famous fly. Anyone. A more famous fly than the Mike Pence's fly. That's the most famous fly in all of history. You heard it here first. Oh my God, it was an act of God. Flies like shit and dead things. Yes, they do. All right, so we're running out of time, and I want to get to a couple of other things before we end. I had way too much fun today. This has been a fun show. We are watching the show, and when I say we, me and my wife, but there are a lot of people who are also watching the show called Lovecraft Country. For those of you, yes, Goldblum, that's the one I forgot. Thank you, Vinny. Yes, there was one where they zoomed in on the fly on Mike Pence's head, of the picture of the fly on Mike Pence's head, and it showed up as Jeff Goldblum. Oh my God, it's so good, so good. Anyway, so we're watching Lovecraft Country, and Lovecraft Country. This is week number 8, and there was there have been constant conversations about all the things that are being shown on this show. So for those of you who are not the uninitiated, so to speak, Lovecraft Country talks about the works of Lovecraft, the author, science fiction author, but in the framework of the Jim Crow South, right? And Lovecraft was a reported racist and misogynist, which comes out later, after people start to delve into who he is. He writes all of these passages that put black people and women in really horrible light. So the only stars of his work are white men. That comes out, and he writes an essay that's called The Making of the Negro, Creation of the Negro, and it talks about Negroes were created as an afterthought, and with all the inferior. So it's this whole racist thing. And so what it does, the show takes all of that stuff and turns it on its head, right? And it follows this black family through the Jim Crow South, and there's magic and monsters, and some of the monsters are the racists, right? So this has been happening. Like I said, this is week 8, and so we've had so many discussions about what we saw, and the things that we were able to pay attention to. Like, for instance, there's a scene where there is a white woman eating vanilla ice cream on a green bench in this town, and it seems like an innocuous thing, but when you open it up, you find out that there were green benches in all littered throughout the South where black people were not allowed to sit. Like, they were painted green to signify you can't sit on these benches, right? Only white people are allowed to sit on these benches. And then you also find out that she's eating a vanilla ice cream cone. And in the Jim Crow South, black people were restricted from eating vanilla ice cream, eating white ice cream. Ironically, from a black vanilla bean, neither here nor there, right? But were restricted from eating white vanilla ice cream except on the 4th of July. They could not eat vanilla ice cream except on the 4th of July. In public, that is, right? So these are all in public things. So, like, and those are the kind of nuggets that go all the way through Lovecraft Country. Well, I'm bringing this up today because Sunday that just passed was a episode that dealt with the funeral of Emmett Till, who was an actual character in Lovecraft Country. And so the funeral processes through the entire scene, through the entire episode. But one of the main characters is haunted by 2 jigaboos, right? And for those of you who don't know what a jigaboo is a spectral spirit, normally a child that, in folklore was meant to scare children into being good. Like, if you're bad, these jigaboos will come and get you. It is a derogatory term. It's based from 2 terms: the word jig, which is somebody offensive, and a bugaboo, which is a spirit that you are trying to scare children with, right? So that's where you get jigaboo, and it really refers to these children of formerly enslaved people. And so these 2 jigaboos are running behind one of the characters. And the reason I am bringing this up is that I'm a horror fan. Like, I go deep into horror, like everything from The People Under the Stairs to like the Freddy Krueger stuff to like, you name it. I love horror. Annabelle, the whole thing. I love any kind of horror. The Ring, you name it, right? And I enjoy like how people try to scare people. I've never been so scared of 2 characters on the screen than Topsy and Bopsy, who are the 2 jigaboos that are running through the entire episode. My God, if you are not watching Lovecraft Country, you should go catch up. There are 2 more episodes left in this season. But even if you're not watching it, go watch episode 8. That episode has got to win something. Those two women portray the specter of fright and fear, and put the fear of God in everybody who watched it. My God, it was they've got to win something. I don't know what you win for a secondary character, like even a tertiary character in a show where you don't even have words, but like you like portray a spirit or a demon or something like that. But like, if there's an award for that, give it to those 2 women today. My God, it was awesome. So go watch your Lovecraft Country. And if you haven't watched it and you need a place to talk about it, come back to my page every Monday. I go through a whole recap. Only because you remember Laja Bless and others. Yeah, no, I already talked about that the jigaboos were comparable to the duendes. These are all Caribbean specters that we grew up with. So a duende is a unbaptized child that dies, and they come back as a spirit, and their feet are turned backwards so that when they're walking you can't tell whether they're coming or going. Laja Bless is this no, that's a sukanya. Laja Bless is this old woman of the forest who has one hoof leg and walks around and steals your soul. A sukanya is a fireball woman, comparable to a vampire, and is basically a succubus. Man, listen, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that, like, you want to talk about. There should be a movie about Trinidadian folklore. You talking about vampires and werewolves, the stuff that we grew up with, that'll scare the pants off of you, right? So anyway, go watch Lovecraft Country, and that'll be really, really cool. My favorite episode, not because of Topsy and Bopsy, right? Gotta run. Bye, Lisa. Best line of the episode. I knew that would be your best line, right? So, like, when that happened, I was like, Dunn is gonna love this part right here. This is right up his alley. Anyway, so that's where we are. I also have a 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna get ready to wrap up. I did not get to the protests that are happening in Brooklyn, but we are living in crazy times where people are protesting because they're being told to be safe, right? People are protesting because they have been told that their actions are causing spikes in the coronavirus infection, and they're actually out there protesting, burning things in the middle of the night, shutting down intersections, and having mass gatherings, which is the exact thing that the government and the city ordinance is telling you should not be doing in order to stay safe, right? To stay safe. So, and they're protesting because they think that they're being targeted. But the numbers don't lie. Dude, let's get through this. Is it necessary for you to have this event? Is it? Anyway, so we'll talk more about that. Hopefully next week when I come back on, there is a resolution to it. Because now we're back to, they have shut down certain neighborhoods in Brooklyn, Queens, and Far Rockaway. Nobody ever knows where is Far Rockaway, Queens, or is that Long Island? Anyway, so shut down all of these neighborhoods with non-essential and outdoor dining and all the rest of that stuff because these numbers are spiking. And people are protesting because they think that they're being targeted. Dog, the numbers are happening in your neighborhoods. Period. Let's be safe. Let's be smart. Go out and watch Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country. Come back me and come talk to me on Monday on my page. I will see you guys next week. Have a blessed time. Have some good times. Find some joy in your life and be nice to flies. I'll talk to y'all later.